There's a shark living in the freezing waters of the Arctic that can go over a year without eating a single meal, and some researchers believe certain individuals might be able to stretch that even further. This same shark can also live for hundreds of years, grow less than half an inch annually, and it's believed to be one of the longest living vertebrates on the entire planet. This is the Greenland shark, and almost everything about how it survives runs on rules that are completely different from most other sharks in the ocean. Let's start with the obvious question. How does any animal go that long without food and not simply starve to death? For most animals, missing even a few meals in a row is a serious problem. So what is the Greenland shark actually doing differently? The answer starts with temperature, and more specifically, with just how cold the water this shark lives in actually is. Greenland sharks are typically found in deep Arctic and North Atlantic waters, often at depths where the temperature sits close to freezing, sometimes just barely above it. Cold water like this has a direct effect on an animal's metabolism. The colder an animal's body gets, the slower its internal processes run, including digestion, movement, and basic cell activity. A Greenland shark's metabolism runs at an extremely slow pace compared to sharks living in warmer water, and that alone means it simply doesn't burn through energy anywhere near as fast. To put that in perspective, a fast-swimming shark in warm water needs a steady, frequent supply of food just to keep up with its own energy demands. A Greenland shark moving slowly through near-freezing water with a metabolism running at a fraction of that pace can go an extremely long time on a single large meal, because its body simply isn't spending energy anywhere near as quickly. This connects directly to how the Greenland shark actually gets its food in the first place. Unlike fast, active hunters like the great white, the Greenland shark moves incredibly slowly, cruising through the water at speeds barely faster than walking pace. Instead of relying on speed and aggression to catch prey, it leans heavily on scavenging, feeding on dead or dying animals that sink down from higher up in the water column, including seals and even whale carcasses. A single large carcass can provide an enormous amount of food all at once, more than enough to sustain a slow metabolism animal like this for a very long stretch of time before it needs to feed again. There's also evidence that Greenland sharks are capable of active hunting despite their slow, sluggish appearance, and this is where their biology gets even more interesting. Researchers have found remains of fast-swimming prey, including seals, in the stomachs of Greenland sharks, which raises a real question, since a shark moving this slowly shouldn't logically be able to catch something so much quicker than itself. The leading explanation is that Greenland sharks likely rely on stealth and ambush rather than pursuit, approaching sleeping or resting seals slowly enough to avoid detection, then striking at close range where speed matters far less than surprise. This fits perfectly with an animal built around conserving energy at every opportunity, rather than one built for constant, high-speed hunting. Now let's talk about the lifespan, because this is where things get almost hard to believe. Scientists studying the eye tissue of Greenland sharks using a radiocarbon dating method typically reserved for much older biological material estimated that some individuals may be several hundred years old, with the oldest estimates reaching close to 400 years. If that estimate holds up, it would make the Greenland shark the longest living vertebrate species known to science, older than any whale, any turtle, and any other backboned animal ever studied. This extreme lifespan and the shark's ability to survive without eating for long stretches are almost certainly connected to each other, and it comes back to that same slow metabolism running through everything about this animal. A slower metabolic rate generally means slower cell aging, and combined with the constant cold of its environment, that appears to give Greenland sharks an enormous biological head start on longevity compared to almost any other vertebrate on the planet. Growing at a rate of less than half an inch per year also fits this same pattern. It takes over 100 years for a Greenland shark to reach full sexual maturity, which is an almost unheard of amount of time in the animal kingdom. but it lines up exactly with an animal whose entire biology is built around doing everything as slowly and efficiently as possible. There's one more strange detail worth mentioning, because it adds another layer to how well this shark is built for its environment. Greenland shark flesh contains high concentrations of a compound called trimethylamine oxide, which helps stabilize the shark's cells and proteins under the intense pressure and near freezing temperatures of deep Arctic water. The trade-off is that this same compound makes the flesh mildly toxic if eaten without special preparation, which is part of why this shark has so few natural predators willing to target a fully grown adult. Even its own body chemistry seems built entirely around surviving in one of the harshest, coldest environments in the ocean. It also means a Greenland shark's entire life plays out on a completely different clock than almost anything else in the ocean. A shark swimming near the surface today could realistically have been alive before some of the oldest recorded events in modern history, quietly growing less than an inch a year, waiting out entire centuries in the same cold, dark water. That kind of timescale is genuinely difficult to picture, but it's the direct result of every single adaptation this animal has, all working together toward the same goal, using as little energy as possible, for as long as possible. So put this all together: an extremely slow metabolism that dramatically reduces how much food it needs. A scavenging and ambush-based feeding strategy that can deliver massive amounts of food in a single meal. A near-freezing environment that slows down aging itself. And body chemistry specifically adapted to survive extreme cold and pressure. None of these traits exist in isolation. They all reinforce each other, building an animal that isn't fast, isn't aggressive, and isn't built for a quick life at all. It's built for patience on a timescale that barely resembles anything else swimming in the ocean today.